Hey guys, we're back, and just before I start this video, I'd like to apologize for, being really flaky on you guys. I'm still trying to figure out, this YouTube thing, even though I've been on YouTube for a very long time. It's been in very I still have my channel, but it's been in very short stints. Like, I would make videos constantly, then I'll stop for a couple months, sometimes even years. The first time around was years. I recently started making videos again. I did a video a week, but some things came up, and it's just really hard to find like a really good schedule that I can follow. But hopefully this time around I can do things more consistent. So I'm gonna preface this video by saying, yes, it's February, and this is technically my first video of 2025, but just a disclaimer, some feelings will be hurt in this video. So sit down, get yourself a glass of water, get your snack, get your little, because there are going to be I probably might go off. I hope I don't, but I have a feeling I might go off on this video. So I've been asked a lot of questions, even by people who are very close and dear to me. How do you make your experience with your Enthusiast car reliable? How can you make it a bulletproof solution? And this is pretty much the video right into it. I'm not going to make it super complicated. I'm going to break it down into three things. The first one being, buy a stock vehicle. A lot of people, for some strange reason, they don't. They just don't buy a stock vehicle. But I think I know the reason why. There's a couple of reasons. They're very excited. They're like, oh my God, this car can make so much power and has so much potential. It's just better that I buy a car with mods because I can make more. No, you don't want to do that. Trust me. You don't. And there is a point to be made if it's modified correctly, which I will get into later. But buy a stock vehicle because it gives you peace of mind when it comes time to service the car. Let's say you know how to wrench on the car yourself, or let's say if you don't, so you got to bring it into a shop. It is better overall because you can go on your computer right now. You can go on Rock Auto, you can go on Parts Advertiser. You can damn near walk right into the dealership and buy the part yourself. It might be a little bit more expensive, but they will have the part, and there you go. There's a lot more parts available OEM wise, where things start getting, a little bit square. And also, if you bring the car into a mechanic to let someone else do it for you, they're not gonna, be like, oh, this car is modified, I can't even get this shit onto my fucking lift, it's too fucking low. No, your car is they actually might even be surprised. They'll be like, wow, this car is fully stock, like, this is amazing. Or just might not care, but at the same time, you want the experience to be smooth sailing. It's just better for anyone. And also, I like to bring up another point. As a car enthusiast, most enthusiasts would rather a stock vehicle because they can put their own spin on it instead of living through someone else. Oh, how can I say this? This is sort of like a tongue twister. Oh, I can't even speak right now. But most car enthusiasts do like to buy stock vehicles because they pretty much want to modify it themselves. They don't want someone else's modification, and they have to peel back the layers, and it's too confusing, and it's just too much of a mess. Trust me, you want to be good mentally and physically, buy a stock car, save yourself the trouble, smooth sailing, and then, when everything is all good and said and done, go ahead and start modifying the car. Number 2, maintain the vehicle. Now this one I might go off because I've seen some heinous things which could have been easily avoided, and oh boy, for some reason, a lot of Honda enthusiasts specifically just don't like to maintain their cars, and I feel like it's sort of a brand / reputation thing. Like, Hondas are known for being very well built, very simple, easy to work on, reliable, sources of transportation, and a lot of people they take that. It's very low cost, it's not that hard to maintain them. But where the trouble starts is, it doesn't take a lot to maintain them, so they don't maintain them. They leave their oil change intervals or whatever their service intervals, they just extend it. They keep extending it for as far as they can go before they run into problems, which is not the greatest thing, and I don't recommend you do that. and they just basically run the car until something breaks, which is absolutely positively something you shouldn't do. And then to top it all off, they will complain to be like, oh, this car sucks, it's really crap. No, you just didn't maintain the car. And that happens with any car that you have, whether it be a Toyota, a Honda, a Subaru. They even might be some flaws in the designs or anything. If you don't maintain, not even just cars, just anything in general, they will eventually fail, or something will fail, and your bill will be a lot more than you expected, rather than you caught it at that time when you heard something, whatever trouble you might be experiencing when you first purchased the vehicle. Get all the fluids changed, change the oil, change the trans, change the coolant, whatever fluid is in the car, change it out. Because if you don't change it out, that fluid is going to get old, it might rust, it loses its viscosity, and it's very cheap to do so. Although nowadays it might be a little bit expensive, it's a lot cheaper than, fixing something mechanical. Just replacing all your fluids gives you a peace of mind when the fluids were last changed. Same thing with the battery. If that battery looking crusty, if them terminals are crusty, and you don't know when it's last been changed, just fucking change it out. Change it out. Have peace of mind. You have a fresh battery. You know that shit's going to start when it's minus 20. Peace of mind. So you have a stock car that's well maintained and it drives well. That probably has to be the biggest flex. One of the biggest flex. And don't mind that. That's just my niece in the background there. But that's one of the biggest flexes you can have. A car with no lights on the dash. Everything works accordingly. And hold on one sec. Yeah, everything works accordingly and you have no problems. That is a big flex that any car enthusiast can have. A stock car that is 100% a mechanically sound, that is the best flex you can have. So that's number 2, maintain the car. And the last one, number 3, research the weak and strong points of the car. This is probably a very important one. So I'm going to use my car for an example. Research the car, like every tiny detail. I'm not going to get into the obvious ones. I'm going to even talk about ones that people don't even care about. So the 8th generation Civic, if we're just talking about body chassis wise, they actually do really good when it comes to like corrosion and rust resistance. Where it does fall short, we all know the clear coat tends to go on these cars, but it's not necessary. It's more cosmetic, it's not mechanical, but just be aware of that. Just take care of the paint. If you have to get it repainted, get it repainted. If you have to wrap it, you just can't stand it, you don't want to deal with all that shit, get it wrapped. Make sure the car looks decent and make sure the paint is protected from the elements. Something a little bit more in depth that a lot of people don't know about is the rear control arms on the Civic. Now, they're not notorious for failing, but they are notorious for rusting out very early. And I've noticed this on many Honda Civics. I've noticed this on the 6th generation, the 7th generation, and especially on the 8th generation, and even the 9th generation too. Even the 9th generation, those cars are becoming, becoming 13, 14 years old now, because we're in 2025. But if you don't have any rust prevention, the control arms around the bushings will tend to rot away. I've seen a lot of Civics that have those control. Like the body will look really, really good, but the suspension components, the knuckles, they're all rotten because they didn't take care of it. Those are just some other weak points of the car. Some more obvious ones would be the transmission, especially in the 8th generation Civic SI, and just if you have a K series, a performance K series with a 6-speed manual transmission, 2nd gear grinds, 3rd gear pop-outs, weak synchros, gear lockouts. There's a lot of issues. Honda did try to rectify this with the updated version from 09 and above, but those problems can still occur because once you're aware of them, you can buy parts now to rectify those problems. So change out the bushings, update the synchros, repair the transmission, change the fluid regularly, stay on top of it. So this is how you have a reliable transmission. My transmission has over 250,000 kilometers on it. It is the original transmission, and it is on its second clutch. And also the clutch master cylinder is another weak point, so make sure to check that. If you have to install a new one, go ahead. If you have to install a modified one, go right ahead. Just make sure that part's been replaced, and trust me, a new clutch master cylinder is better one than on its way out, because once that goes out, you probably won't be able to shift the car or shift it at all, or whatever it may be. Research all the strong and weak points of the car, and then modify it outside of that once you know the information. And once you do know that information, you address the weak points of the car, you rectify them, you fix them, and then you can enjoy it. Because once you do that, once you've discovered all the weak points and strengthened them, you've overall increased, even though you made more power. And many people say, oh, if you add more power to the car, you're sort of, decreasing the reliability, which is true. But again, for what I say, for my purposes, research the strengths and weaknesses of the car. Because if you don't, you're not gonna have any idea. You're just literally gonna buy parts online. You're gonna slap them on the car. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna tune it, and then when something breaks, you kind of want to know why it broke. It's probably gonna be something that was weak. You didn't address it, and over time, it's a part that's probably not designed for what you're doing with the vehicle, and it failed on you because you forgot about that. So it's very important to research the weak and strong points, and this goes with any vehicle. And yeah, that's pretty much how I try to have a solid, well, not how I try, that's pretty much how I would have a solid Honda experience.